Ade sat on the old worn-out couch in the living room, his eyes fixed on the cracked ceiling above. The sounds of laughter and chatter drifted in from the kitchen, where his family and a few friends were gathered. They were celebrating his younger brother's academic achievements, but Ade's heart was heavy with a different kind of ambition. Ever since he was a child, Ade had been fascinated by music. His father, a stern and traditional man, had always dismissed his love for singing as a mere hobby, something that would never amount to anything meaningful. You should focus on your studies, his father would say. Music won't put food on the table. But Ade couldn't shake off the melody that played in his mind that day. He found solace in the rhythm of his own voice, in the way it soared and deep, telling stories of love, loss, and hope. His friends would often tease him, calling him the dreamer and mocking his aspirations. As the evening wore on, Ade's mother noticed his distant gaze and sat beside him. Ade, why aren't you joining the celebration? She asked, her voice filled with concern. Ade sighed, torn between his family's expectation and his own dreams. I want to be a singer, Ade finally confessed, bracing himself for his mother's reaction. To his surprise, she smiled gently and placed a hand on his shoulder. Follow your heart, Ade, she said, softly. We may not understand your passion, but we always support you. With renewed determination, Ade spent the night singing under the stars, his voice carrying his dreams to the heavens above. Little did he know, his journey to fame and reconciliation was about to begin. In the days that followed, Ade's revelation to his mother gave him a newfound sense of hope and purpose. Despite his father's disapproval, he began to practice his singing more earnestly, often staying up late into the night to perfect his craft. His mother, true to her word, supported him silently, occasionally slipping him a few coins to buy music sheets or to attend local singing competitions. One evening, after a particularly intense argument with his father, Hadi decided it was time to leave home. Packing a few belongings and his cherished guitar, he set out into the unknown, determined to pursue his dreams no matter the cost. With nowhere else to go, Ade sought refuge with an old musician who had once performed at his village. The musician, impressed by Ade's determination, took him in and became his mentor. Under the old man's guidance, Ade learned not just about music, but also about life, love, and perseverance. One day, while wandering through the city, Ade stumbled upon a flyer for a music school offering scholarship to talented young musicians. Seeing this as a sign, he applied immediately, pouring his heart and soul into the application essays and auditions. Weeks went on, and finally, Ade received the news he had been waiting for. He had been accepted into the music school on a full scholarship. Overwhelmed with joy, Ade knew that this was his chance to prove his worth, not just to his family, but to himself. With a mix of excitement and nervousness, Ade packed his bags once again and set off for the music school, ready to embark on the next chapter of his journey. Little did he know, the challenges and triumphs that lay ahead would shape him into the artist that the man he was destined to become. At the music school, Ade faced challenges unlike any he had encountered before. The competition was fierce, with talented musicians from all over the country vying for recognition. Despite his scholarship, Ade struggled to fit in, facing discrimination and ridicule from some of his classmates who believed he didn't belong. Determined to prove himself, Ade threw himself into his studies, spending countless hours practicing and perfecting his singing. He pushed himself to the limit, determined to show everyone that he was worthy of being there. As the school year progressed, Ade's hard work began to pay off. He started to win over his classmates and teachers with his passion and dedication, earning their respect and admiration. His performances in class and at school events began to draw attention, and soon he was invited to participate in a prestigious singing competition. The night of the competition was nerve-wracking. Ade stood backstage, his heart pounding in his chest as he waited for his turn to perform. When he finally stepped out onto the stage, the auditorium fell silent, all eyes on him. Ade closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and began to sing. His voice filled the auditorium, rich and soulful, carrying the emotion of the song. As he sang, Ade poured his heart and soul into his performance, leaving the audience spellbound. When he finished, the auditorium erupted into applause. Ade had done it. He had won the competition. The judges praised his talent and passion, and soon, word of his victory spread far and wide. But as Ade basked in the glow of his success, a shadow loomed over him. Rumors began to circulate about jealousy and sabotage among his classmates, suggesting that someone had tried to undermine his performance. Ade was left wondering who could have betrayed him and why. But as he pondered these questions, he knew one thing for certain: his journey was far from over, and the challenges ahead would test him in ways he had never imagined. As Ade's fame grew, so did the envy of those around him. Some of his classmates, unable to accept his success, grew increasingly resentful, leading to tensions within the music school. Despite the rumors and whispers, Ade remained focused on his music, finding solace in his performances and in the support of his few true friends. One day, Ade met Tolu, a fellow student whose voice was as captivating as a smile. The two bonded over their shared love for music, spending hours practicing together and dreaming of the future. Their connection was undeniable, and before long they became inseparable. When the school announced a duet competition, Ade and Tolu knew they had to enter. Their voices blended together beautifully, creating a harmony that seemed to transcend the stage. As they performed, the audience was moved to tears, and when they finished, the auditorium erupted in applause. But as Ade and Tolu basked in the afterglow of their performance, tragedy struck. Ade received a call informing him that his mentor, the old musician who had taken him in, had passed away suddenly. Devastated by the loss, Ade struggled to find the strength to carry on. In the midst of his grief, Ade received another call. He had been offered a record deal with a major music label. Overwhelmed by the conflicting emotions of joy and sorrow, Ade knew he had to make a choice: to pursue his dreams or to let it slip away. With Tolu by his side, Ade made the decision to accept the record deal, knowing that it was what his mentor would have wanted. Together, they poured their hearts and souls into their music, creating an album that would touch the hearts of millions. As their fame spread, Ade and Tolu's relationship blossomed into something deeper, their love for each other growing stronger with each passing day. And as they stood on stage, accepting award after award, they knew that their journey was far from over, that the best was yet to come. Ade's fame soared. His family, who had once disowned him, began to take notice. They saw him on television, heard him on the radio, and read about him in newspapers. Slowly but surely, their hearts began to soften, and they realized the error of their ways. One day, Ade received a letter from his mother asking him to come home. She wrote of how proud she was of him, of how she regretted ever doubting him. Touched by her words, Ade knew that it was time to reconcile with his family. Returning home, Ade was greeted with open arms. His family, once distant and cold, embraced him warmly, tears of joy streaming down their faces. They apologized for their past behavior, acknowledging that they had been wrong to dismiss his dreams. As Ade sat with his family, surrounded by love and forgiveness, he realized that his journey had come full cycle. He had faced rejection and ridicule, had been disowned and betrayed, but through it all, he had remained true to himself and his music. Now, as he looked into the eyes of his family, Ade knew that he had finally found what he had been searching for all along: acceptance, love, and reconciliation. And as he sang for them, his voice filled with emotion, Ade knew that no matter where his music took him, he would always have a home to return to, a family to call his own.
Yeah, okay.